Do the Giants need to look into their pitching injury bug, or is it just all part of the game? It's all coming up on Locked On Giants.
You are Locked On Giants, your daily San Francisco Giants podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, y'all? Welcome to Locked On Giants, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. My name is Alan Stiles, and we are talking Giants baseball with you Monday through Friday. And of course, today is no different. On today's show, we are discussing the pitching injury issues. Do the Giants have something specific going on, or is it just kind of part of the game and what is going on in Major League Baseball and baseball at large these days? Decisions on specific prospects, a good article from the SF Standard on what the Giants could do with Bo Davidson, Parks Harber, and other prospects. And last but not least, a preview for today's Giants versus Reds game. But we start with the pitching injury issues. You had Carson Whisenhunt, now the latest to go down, and he's going to need Tommy John. That's not great to see. And of course, last night you had Adrian Hauser go down as well. So we have a couple different kind of breakdowns for you. This is from Will Simons from NBC Sports Bay Area. Adrian Hauser has positive vibe despite early injury exit in Giants win. Even though the team received bad news about Carson Whisenhunt, the initial outlook for Adrian Hauser appears a bit more optimistic. Just some tightness in his flexor, manager Tony Vitello said after the Giants 3-1 victory. Felt good in the bullpen, felt good rolling through the first inning, and then going back out there just kind of barking at him a little bit. Kind of a tight feeling based off that meeting on the mound. During the second inning of Tuesday's game, after throwing just 26 pitches, Hauser appeared to show discomfort in his arm before leaving the game with a trainer. Now, before everyone gets all up in arms or worried about Adrian Hauser, I guess the good thing is that he had that before. Hauser explained he had strained his flexor, which is a muscle in the forearm near the inside of the elbow, back in 2022 when he was with the Milwaukee Brewers. He said this episode of tightness feels similar, but not near as bad, which could be a positive sign. The 33-year-old righty missed about 8 weeks with that injury initially, though he and the team hope tomorrow or today's MRI comes back cleaner so that Hauser potentially can pitch again in 2026. So I think the number one thing is when he had that injury, and I guess supposedly it was worse in 2022, he didn't get Tommy John, right? He was only out 8 weeks. Now, at this point, 8 weeks, that's the season. So if he was out for that period of time, obviously he'd be essentially done. I think the thing now with the Giants is who's out there. You know, they just optioned Tugboat. I don't even know if his bag is unpacked yet, but he's going to have to turn right back around and head to Cincinnati or wherever the Giants go next, because they're going to need him, right? With Adrian Hauser out, they just need bodies, and they don't have enough bodies right now throwing the baseball. So that's going to be an issue for the Giants. So good news on the Adrian Hauser front. Getting back to Carson Whisenhunt, though, that's brutal. They've had so many guys go down. Trevor McDonald. And you have Carson Whisenhunt, who got pulled up because of Trevor McDonald, who also went down. So this is just on and on and on. And now you have, this is Whisenhunt's MRI Tuesday, revealed a torn ulnar collateral ligament in his left elbow, and surgery was recommended. He was meeting with team doctors yesterday night and receiving lots of comfort from teammates who realize what the lefty is about to go through. At one point, Rafael Devers called Whisenhunt to his locker to console him with some choice words. Everything was coming together, Whisenhunt said, frustrated over the realization that his life was about to dramatically change. The body was moving the way it was supposed to. All the work I've been doing, it felt like it finally translated. And then I felt really good till the last batter I faced. Whisenhunt felt discomfort in his arm on his final 2 pitches to Cincinnati's Dane Myers in the 3rd inning Monday, and moments later, he was escorted off the mound by a trainer. MRI results were awful news for the 25-year-old who had high hopes of finishing the season strong and winning a spot in next year's rotation. Now, we don't know what would have happened with Carson Whisenhunt. I've been, pretty vocal about Carson Whisenhunt, and really just that group of pitchers. We are wishing the best for Carson Whisenhunt. It's never nice to hear that type of news, and somebody that gets to do what they love for a living doesn't get to do that. So feel really bad for Carson Whisenhunt. Hope he gets better. For the Giants right now, it is tough because there is a whole epidemic right now. I've made the joke before that it almost feels like braces. Remember, now, like I said, I'm 36 years old. And when I was in high school, basically everybody had braces at some point between middle school and high school. You just did. I had braces. I didn't really think I needed braces like that, but I got them too. So everybody had them. And that's what it feels like these days with Tommy John. It feels like it's just a coming of age, right? In a sad, twisted way. And I wish it wasn't like that. But unfortunately, that's just a situation. So I know with the Giants right now, with Hayden Birdsong, Trevor McDonald, obviously you had Randy Rodriguez last season, and now you have Carson Whisenhunt. We think Adrian Hauser is going to be good. There's probably going to be more news on that today at some point. So with all that being said, I understand why some might say, hey, the Giants need to maybe take a look at what they're doing. The pitching coaches, the pitching staff, all of it. Take a look at it because what exactly is going on? I understand why somebody would feel like that. But unfortunately, the Giants and what they're going through, it doesn't feel as specific or as unique as maybe we'd hoped, right? I honestly hope it would more so be a Giant specific thing, but the reality is it's not. It's just everywhere. There's issues when it comes to pitching the baseball. The Little League Series is going on right now, and you're watching these kids. They're on pitch counts. They're trying to do their best to make sure, hey, you're not throwing too much. And then you have the other side of the fence that feels as if you're babying these players too much, right? From Little League to high school and beyond, you have people saying, well, they're not throwing enough. Right? Back in the day, you didn't have everybody dropping like flies, and that's part of the problem. Well, back in the day, not to have a battle of the ages or battle of the different eras, but the travel baseball these days is insane. It is. So even if you're not throwing 9 innings or whatever it is, 7 innings, whatever it is, all of the travel baseball that these kids are a part of year round. I have a buddy of mine. Kid is 7 years old. Travel baseball at 7 years old. I didn't start playing travel baseball until I was 13, 14 years old. Now, this is back in, I don't know, what, 06 or whatever it is, 04. But that's when I started travel baseball. When, okay, I'm done playing other sports. These kids are playing travel baseball. They're doing all this other stuff. And, there's the burnout part of it, not to completely go off the rails here, but just from a pitching perspective, then you get to high school. Then you're still playing travel baseball in high school. It probably ramps up in high school. Then if you're blessed enough to play college baseball, you're playing during the summer as well. So all of those things are going on right now. So to me, the amount of innings that you pitch in one setting is not as important, I guess, as how often you are pitching. And I'm not saying that's why Trevor McDonald or Hayden Birdsong or Randy Rodriguez or now Carson Whisenhunt, I'm not saying that's why they had to get Tommy John. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying all this stuff is connected. And because of that, I don't believe that this is a Giants specific thing. So I don't think that, as hard as I am on the Giants and everybody says, Alan, you're so negative at times. I'm not trying to be negative. I'm just, it is what it is. They're not a good team right now. This is one that I wouldn't specifically put on the Giants. It's just kind of the nature of the beast, which is sad, which is a sad state of where baseball is and trying to figure out what is going on with these injuries and how to avoid them. And then you get to the pros where you're throwing even more. So it just doesn't stop. It just doesn't stop. But that's because you've gone further than 95% of the kids and the people that have played baseball have gone. So, it's kind of a balancing act. On the other side, decisions on prospects. What does John Shane, the SF Standard, have to say about what the Giants might do as far as Bo Davidson, Parks Harber, and others? More Locked On Giants coming up. Baseball fans, if you think you know who's hitting a homer today, FanDuel is giving you a free chance to call your shot with Daily Dingers. It's easy to play. Just make your free pick for who you think will hit a home run in their game. If you're right, you'll receive a profit boost to use on your next bet for a chance at extra winnings. Best of all, you can make a free pick every day throughout the MLB season. Daily Dingers is another fun way to stay engaged with every day's games, whether you're following your favorite team or keeping an eye on matchups across the league. Every game has someone capable of going deep. Now you get the chance to make your prediction before first pitch. Obviously, the Giants taking on the Cincinnati Reds. Both those pitching staffs can look a little sketchy at times. So maybe you pick one of those hitters, whether it's Bryce Eldridge or somebody else, to get that done. So are you ready to play your game today? Join all the action at FanDuel.com. That's FanDuel.com to play Daily Dingers and make your free pick on who's hitting a homer. Play ball and swing for the fences on FanDuel, an official partner of Major League Baseball. Next segment with you, and we are getting to a really solid article from the SF Standard. And basically the breakdown, this is from John Shea. And essentially the breakdown is how MLB's looming lockout will shape the Giants' decisions on prospect promotions. So you have, this is kind of the main points. So basically Buster Posey says to keep developing Bo Davidson, he wants to do it normally and let his performance dictate the decision. The Giants will need to add Davidson to the 40-man roster to protect him from the Rule 5 draft. So here's the, I guess, the main points. Bo Davidson, if you protect him, he would be on the 40-man and he wouldn't be a part of the Rule 5 draft, and obviously somebody would pick him up, right? On the other side of that, if you protect him and there's a lockout, then Bo Davidson wouldn't be able to play with the River Cats. So he wouldn't be getting more reps. If you don't protect him, Bo Davidson would still be on the River Cats, but that Rule 5 draft, like I said, the way he's swinging the bat, he obviously is going to get picked up. So those are the battles for the Giants. And you have Parks Harber, who I believe is not Rule 5 eligible yet. So we probably will not see Parks Harber this season, but there's a good chance that we do see Bo Davidson. He's been balling, but the problem is, you know, you just don't necessarily want to force the issue. So here it is. Bo Davidson and Parks Harber are on parallel paths to the major leagues as the most advanced hitting prospects in the Giants organization. Giants fans, tired of all the losing in 2026, eagerly await the team's top minor leaguers showing up and changing the narrative. Yet there's a clear reason Davidson is expected to make his major league debut before Harber. It's not about Davidson dominating in AAA. Harber has similar numbers with the River Cats, but about the Giants' 40-man roster management and their strategy approaching December's Rule 5 draft. That is, if a Rule 5 draft will happen. The owner's labor lockout is expected once the collective bargaining agreement expires on December 1st. I would say with Bo, just keep going, Buster Posey said. It was a little bit of a slow start in AAA, but he's been swinging the bat much better lately. Just keep making progress, and then we'll have to make a decision. The Giants will need to add Davidson to their 40-man roster to ensure he wouldn't be Rule 5 eligible. That would happen before season's end or in the offseason. Meanwhile, Harber has less service time in the minors and wouldn't need to be protected, so his inclusion on the 40-man roster isn't as urgent. While Harber is performing well enough to get called up by the Giants in September, there's a reason not to burn a 40-man roster spot. The suddenly loaded farm system will make it tough on decision makers in the coming months to decide who goes on the 40-man and who doesn't. It's an interesting one just because of the current state of the CBA. And is there going to be a Rule 5 draft or not? Posey said. We're going to have to look at the players and ask whether they're undoubtedly ones to be protected or are they in between ones. Maybe it won't be any different than other years, but I think it does add a different layer. In the last labor lockout that preceded the current CBA, 2021 to 2022, that was December to March, the Rule 5 draft was canceled. The priority, once the CBA was ratified, was getting free agents signed and starting an abbreviated spring training so the season could get underway ASAP, ensuring an 162-game schedule. I don't know if you can necessarily bank on that, Posey said. about the cancellation of another Rule 5 draft. Indeed, nothing can be assumed with the owners and players so far part of negotiations, especially on the subject of a salary cap. Owners demand it while players want no part of it. This lockout has the potential to threaten the 2027 season, at least in the big leagues. On the flip side, minor league seasons are able to proceed as scheduled. Players not on 40-man rosters with minor league contracts will not be locked out, a union source confirmed. That means Giants prospects Jackson Flora, Josuar Gonzalez, Luis Hernandez, Johnny Level, Gavin Keelan, Dakota Jordan, and Ramon Marquez can play ball as usual, and presumably Harber, who's not Rule 5 eligible until after next season. So that is kind of the crux of it from John Shea. You can go check out the whole thing on the SF Standard. And that is, I guess, kind of a tough situation for Parks Harber, because we love to see Parks Harber. I mean, guys are dropping like flies. We'll see what happens with Marcelo Meyer. I know Susan Slusser said she saw him walking around with a bat as if, I guess, he was going to take batting practice. So we'd like to see him. It's essentially urgent to me that you see Bo Davidson at some point, and I think we will, and it's going to be really exciting. And it's probably going to be, I mean, since Bryce Eldridge, one of the brightest spots. I guess we can throw Tugboat in there. The Giants have pulled up so many guys, it's hard to keep up. But I think out of the names of the future with the Giants, Bo Davidson is probably the biggest one. But on the flip side, that means that if they pull him up, Bo Davidson, assuming there's a lockout, would not be able to play baseball, right? He'd be locked out with the rest of the players that are on 40-man rosters, all the big names and things like that. I think at this point with Bo, you know, being a college guy, you know, coming out of a JUCO, we kind of know what he is. Guys are going to get their work in. Guys are going to find ways around it. At the end of the day, there's no way he can be a part of any Rule 5 draft. He just can't be. That's non-negotiable. So the Giants are going to have to pull him up and, hey, hope that the lockout isn't as long so he's not missing that much time. Parks Harber, another college guy. So, you know, whether he gets reps or not in AAA, I've seen Parks Harber play a good bit, and Bo Davidson. They both seem like they're getting to the point where, yeah, they need a little bit more seasoning, but they're not too far off. So both of those guys, to me, it would be nice for them to continue to get reps with the River Cats. I don't know if it's entirely necessary, right? Or I don't know if, you know, their development, how much it would change if they didn't get one more rep with the River Cats right now. I think they're pretty darn close to just being ready for the next level. On the other side, let's get to a game preview. Giants taking on the Reds again. Could they actually get a sweep? Is that possible? Did I just jinx it? More Locked On Giants coming up. A big thank you to our friends at Amazon for this limited break. This back-to-school season, spend less on your kids with Amazon. We all know how crazy the back-to-school shopping experience can be. It starts with a few items on the list, then suddenly you're shopping for supplies, clothes, lunch gear, tech, and a bunch of other things, 10 other things you didn't see coming, and it adds up fast. Just like the need versus want, it gets so frustrating. When your kid's definition of need for back to school shopping is a lot different than your definition of need, somehow the list keeps getting longer every time they look at it. Explaining the need versus want conundrum this time of year has just become an annual part of the process. So remember, with Amazon's low back to school prices, just spend less on your kids, because every dollar you don't spend on them is a dollar you haven't spent on them. Shop back to school at Amazon and spend less on your kids. Last segment with you, and we have a preview for today's game. The Giants going for the sweep. Can they get their first sweep in before the end of the season, before the end of August? I think it would be even funnier if they got a sweep late August 26th. I would love that. That would be hilarious to me. You have Nick Lodolo taking on Landon Roop. You have Nick Lodolo with a 3-3 record, a 5.04 ERA with a 1.52 whip, 75 innings pitched. Then you have Landon Roop. He is 7-13 with a 4.34 ERA, 1.31 whip, 134 2/3 innings pitched. And both of these guys obviously looking for a W, just looking for a solid outing. Sal Stewart, we know what he's bringing to the table. He leads their team in home runs. batting average, runs batted in. So he is having a crazy young rookie campaign. Rafi Devers leads in home runs with 28. Jung-Hoo Lee leads in batting average with 289. And Rafi Devers has the most RBIs with 74. So those are kind of the made headlines as the Giants are trying to pull it off. And going back to last night's game, as they were able to get a W. I mean, just another solid win, right? You had for the Reds, Ellie De La Cruz with a knock. Sal Stewart hit a home run. That dude is just a stud. Brady Singer goes 5 2/3 innings, 3 earned runs. With 2 walks and 5 strikeouts. For the Giants, you had Drew Gilbert 1 for 4, and he crashed into that wall. He's showing why he really wants to stay on this squad and be a part of the Giants moving forward, even with some of the big name prospects coming up. Rafi Devers hit a home run, another one. The dude is just on an absolute tear. Jung-Hoo Lee with a knock. Drew Kavanaugh 3 for 3. With 2 RBIs, and now people are saying Drew Kavanaugh is going to be the catcher of the future. We just don't know. Nate Furman got his first MLB hit, so good for Nate Furman. Grant McCray with another knock, and then you had Christian Koss. He had a walk. He was 0 for 2 with a walk. Shea Whitcomb, a lot of fans got to see Shea Whitcomb for the first time. Did go 0 for 4, but he was out there, and then we know about Adrian Hauser. After that, though, Anthony Molina, 4, and who just got pulled up, 4 1/3 innings pitched, 1 strikeout, 1 hit. So solid stuff from Molina. Sam Hinches comes in, gives up a hit in 1 inning, but no earned runs. Trent Harris, 1 inning, 2 strikeouts. Carson Seymour did give up a run in that inning pitched, also had a strikeout. So, it's just, I guess, a solid game from the Giants, right? Like we said, now they've won a couple straight. Can they get the sweep? They haven't been able to get one all season long. Is now finally the time where they're able to get it done? I hope so. So that's a day game for you. And I remember back at the beginning of the season, I don't know how many people remember this, when I discussed whether the Giants were worse at day games, and we were trying to figure out, is it the day game thing? Is that what the issue is? It turns out it was all an issue. So that's where kind of the Giants fall on everything. But if they can get this sweep with a couple young names helping out, like I mentioned, Anthony Molina, you pull up some new guys, just get some new faces out there. Hey, at least we will leave the season with something, and that's all you can really ask for. Thank you for listening to Locked On Giants. Thank you for watching Locked On Giants. Be sure to follow me on social media at @_Styles Files, Styles with an I. For those of you on video, we send to the first ever 24/7 National Locked On Podcast Network YouTube channel. On audio, make sure you make your second listen Locked On MLB. We will talk to you tomorrow. Until then, peace.